So welcome to the third episode of Obiettivo Cina Talk, our series of podcast and video, talking about strategies, tips, and experiences regarding entering and making business in China market. My conversation with my colleague in Shanghai, Ting Xu. Hello, Daisy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back again.
In this episode, we will move our examination and our speech from a kind of internal analysis. In last episode, we spoke about what a company should consider regarding its organization before approaching China. We conclude the last episode with some remarks from Daisy's side about the adaptation of products to China. So in this episode, we will move our view from the internal side to the external side. So we start looking at China from different point of view. The first point of view is the product point of view and the market point of view. So Daisy, can you go in more detail of what you were speaking last time about product adaptation and market adaptation from a foreign company?
Okay, so this is about how to launch or introduce a product successfully in China market, in a new market.
Yes.
I think there are many aspects to talk about regarding this topic. And if we go through one by one, probably we need a whole day session for this topic.
Also more probably.
Yeah. But I would like to share just some opinions that I observed when working with different clients. So first, when you decide to place a product on the market, please start from the end user or the customer side. Because many times, especially for manufacturing B2B companies, we tend to start everything about product itself. The function, the technical advantage, for example, the precision my product can reach than the competitors, those kind of technicalities. And then people forget that this product is for someone or some organization to apply. So try to ask yourself what your customer really care about. Then it will follow with another question like, who is my real customer or my end user? So the market in general is big, but how can you define your own market segments and what index you will choose and then why you choose those? So by answering those questions and then a systematic analysis, you will find the market segments and the customer there, hopefully. And then at this point, you can try to look back at your product. And then for sure, you will have new and different ideas about that, about your product and also about how to introduce it and launch it in a new market. Then the other processes will follow by itself, such as the marketing, how you prepare your sales channels, and then what qualifications you need for your sales force, how you build up your after-sales service. So I believe that if you start from customer, you will be more efficient than others already and likely to have more chances to succeed. That's my opinion.
Yes, and this is one of the main concern and problem of many small, medium enterprises. Most of the time they start from product and not from the market. So it's very important to make this switch to a market orientation approach, not only to China, but in general. So all these aspects that you have mentioned will be subject of other discussion in this conversation, because there are many important things. I would like now to move outside of strictly the market in which a company is going to compete and speak about the external environment in which the companies that are going to China will operate. So generally in China, and we know that China is a planned economy. So from this point of view, is easier than
planned economy. We can speak about that.
Okay, okay. This will lead us to a
to
very
another
as another level of discussion that could be very, very interesting, but probably out of the scope of this podcast.
Yeah. Let's move back.
Yeah, I think what I mean for planned economy is that Chinese government is very precise in planning the future. And I can say is also very precise in reaching the target when they set a target, a time target and another kind of target, they make all the steps to reach it. It's not like, you know, in the past few days, we have had here in Europe two big events, the G20 in Rome and the Glasgow conference, where they have set a very generic target regarding reducing the level of emission, and they speak about 2050, 2060, 2070, without really underline a path and a precise strategy to reach this target. For the Chinese government, they are very precise in that. And a company that wanted to make business in China can have many information about which are the plan. And there are two main documents. There are many, but two that I suggest. One is the 5-year plan, and the other one is the Made in China 2025. Made in China 2025 is a plan that has been issued together with the last 5-year plan in 2013 that is aimed to lead China to become a country with high level of technology with a different step. The first step is in 2025. The second step, it will be in 2050, but with very precise projects and with a very precise target allocated by different provinces, by industry. There are 10 strategic industries included in this plan, both high technology industry like IT, biopharma, new materials, but also traditional industry like agriculture, railway. So companies that operate in this wide industry can really have a clear perception of which will be the future development in China, which role they can have, which incentive they can have from the government. So this for the Made in China 2025. The new 5-year plan, the 14, has just been issued in March. And this is another very important document. It's not only on the economic side, but it's very important also for the economic development. What can you tell us, Daisy, about the main guidelines of the 14 5-year plan?
Yeah, it's another very big topic again. And then you also have briefed quite a lot. I think I just try to pick up some part related with manufacturing. So like you have understood just now, the 5-year plan is providing a direction. Usually we get more information by looking at the guidelines that usually the government released just after the 5-year plan. And in this guideline, they quantified many economic activities under this 5-year plan. Like we often heard, if you cannot measure it, you can't manage it. So from those quantified KPI of the 5-year plan, we can see something quite interesting. So first, what we need to understand is the 3 fundamental pillars for the country's next growth, which are population, science innovation, and green economy. So for population related, we all know that China now is entering into an aging society. So take care of the old and the newborn are the main focus. Uh, and then this implies a lot of industries surround this population topic. Then the second pillar is the science innovation. I think this is mainly talking about the IP, a growth of high value-added patent, as well as its protection measures. And then another content which is important in the science innovation is the digital economy, which is expecting to grow to take up around 10% in the total GDP. Then about the green economy related, as you have also mentioned, is about the CO2 emission and also decarbonization. We talked a little bit in previous sessions about the decarbonization, but then the target is to lower 18% per GDP capita. Then after we keep in mind of those three fundamental pillars, then we can try to understand how they can drive the direction of the industrial changes. So looking at the manufacturing part, so manufacturing was actually expected by the government to have the most potential energy to have to generate the power of growth. So the government is committed to strengthening its weakness in manufacturing. So we call it to somehow to break the bottleneck. Is particularly referring to the technology part. It listed out 8 segments in manufacturing that most resources will focus on. First is the new material development, then intelligent manufacturing and robot technology, aero engines development, the satellite industrialization, new energy vehicle, high-end medical equipment and innovative medicine, and then the agriculture equipment. So we can believe that those segments in next years will generate great value and also opportunities. I think companies who are in those value chain or supply chain, you can deepen about it. Last month, I think there is an important exhibition about agriculture machineries in Qingdao. I saw quite a few Italian companies attended there.
Yeah, Daisy, you mentioned the subject of IP protection. And actually this is one of the things that scare the most companies that doesn't know very well China or have had bad experience in China, because we heard many stories about companies that found their brand just registered in China from somebody that they don't know, even from some distributors or from somebody that they simply saw the brand and the company in an exhibition and register in China, where there is the first to file rule, and so they was obliged to buy back the brand or find another way. So IP protection, both for brand and patent, is a very very delicate, sensitive matter. China is improving a lot from this point of view since they joined the WTO in 2001, and the situation now is much better than in the past. And what can you say about that, Daisy? Which suggestion can you give to companies?
Actually, my suggestion also came from my experiences, even sometimes bad experiences about also what you have mentioned. I think it's important to find a Chinese expert to help you review your current IP status in China, particularly. The laws and regulations might not be 100% consistent with the international practice. Many companies, they simply neglect this fact. For example, we had a client with issues about the trademark registration because they believe that they already applied the trademark covering global protection. But actually, when you are in a specific country or market, there are further steps to go through in order to conclude the whole protection in this specific market. So some companies, they just stop at, let's say, the first step. Actually, we suggest that no matter you have your own entities in China or not, it's better to register locally your IP, like probably your trademark first, can be a Chinese word, can be English letters, can be your logo picture. It might happen that if you usually sell from a distributor in China, this distributor, if he registered the Chinese name, which is more well-known and popular than your English name here in China, it will lead to many problems in your future sales in this market.
I fully agree with your suggestion. Registering the brand is absolutely a prerequisite, even if then you postpone your project to enter in China, but it will be a very wise move. Probably from this point of view, we can, if is interested in our listener, we can also invite some expert to speak about that. It would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Last but should be first thing to consider before entering in China is our product is possible to export it to China, because there are basically three situations that could happen that your product could be freely exported to China, clearly with some duties depending on the type of product. Then there is the situation where your kind of product is subject to quota. So there are maximum quantity decided by the government that could be imported. And there are also products and services that are not allowed to be imported in China in sensitive industries. And here we have the famous negative list that is that has been reduced a lot. Also recently, they have cut a lot of products from the negative list, so it has become more and more open to the various kind of products in the China market. So this is something that a company clearly could analyze as a priority before entering China market. We have some example of also changes in this situation that has caused problems to some companies. For example, they could be threats or could be opportunities. Could be an opportunity if your product is included in a negative list, then is cancelled from the negative list, or could be a problem if for example, the government put quota on your kind of product, like happened to one of our customers that was exporting to China waste paper. Chinese government has reduced the quantity of waste paper that could be imported, so he has reduced the quota. And in this case, they had to change their business from waste paper to recycled paper that was allowed, but that require a completely different approach to the market. So this, the companies approaching China has to consider that, and they have also to consider the level of duties or certification that are assigned to their products. So can you, from this this subject, give us some indication and advice, Daisy?
We can talk one by one: duties, quota, this.
Yes, please. This is interesting.
Yeah, so for duties, it usually follows the international practice, and then in customs official websites or through the third-party logistic service provider, the HS code, and then it's relatively easy to find out the duties for your product. But you need to pay attention to the rules and regulations changes. And this is somehow duties are quite, let's say, consistent with international practice. But somehow, sometimes with, for example, tight political relationship, and something might suffer from some changes. For the quota, actually, this depends a lot on the industry you operate in. So, especially when it concerns about the commodity trade. Usually through the industrial association, usually you can get a quota document. For example, just about your waste paper company, the importation, there's a dedicated document about the quota, and these are released to the paper manufacturers. Another channel is through the distributors or the partners that you work with. But the precondition is that you have mutual trust with each other. Otherwise, sometimes you might be biased, or you didn't see the whole picture. You might be scared for a very little thing, but actually it was not that level of serious. About the certification, it also relates a lot with your specific business, not just about industry. Usually at the very first step, when you verify your duties, the certificate requirement usually follow by that. And you will get this kind of information also quite easily, I think. You know you need a certification. This information, I think, is easy, but how to apply this probably takes some time to deepen. So for some, like for example, some particular industries such as the pharmaceutical or medical devices, there are dedicated website to check up, but the process to get it means how to get it will be more complicated usually.
Yes, this is a subject with which we are dealing in these days, Daisy, with a customer that is trying to understand in his sector, that is a medical sector, there is a new legislation, a new rule regarding selling his type of product to public hospitals. And so they are trying to understand also with our support, which is the real situation and which are the possibilities to continue and expand their business in China.
Yeah.
So I think in this episode, we have given a lot of information to think about, and you see how many things a company should look at before even deciding to enter to China. So I hope this has been interesting for our listeners. For next episode, we will go deeply in market analysis, so more related to the typical business of the company. But it's important to first to make this kind of analysis we have spoken today. So I thank you very much, Daisy, for all the interesting suggestions you have given to us.
Thank you too for this opportunity.
And so thank you to our listener, and see you for the next episode.
See you. Bye-bye.